Hello, this is Mr. Winston, and this is the second video covering Year 7 for Foundations. And this video specifically is looking at fractions. So what do we mean by a fraction? Well, let's consider 2/3. And we refer to the top part as the numerator and the bottom part as the denominator. And we can represent that visually by splitting the shape up into thirds. And we are selecting two of them. And when we're adding fractions, the denominators must be the same. So 1 plus 1 is 2/3. Now, just a quick note on the denominators. They do not behave like ordinary numbers. They tell us how much something is split up into. So if we have 2/3, we can multiply numerator and denominator by an integer that is a whole number, be it positive or negative, and create an equivalent fraction. Now 2/3 and 30/45 are equivalent fractions. Now to simplify 30/45, we could just divide by the highest common factor, which is 15, to give 2/3, or we could divide by some intermediate factors. A factor divides a number perfectly, leaving no remainder. So we can divide by 5 to give 6/9, and then divide by 3. It's often easier to divide by 5 before 3 to give 2/3. Okay, so have a go at as many or as little questions as you wish, and then I will go over the solutions. Okay, so let's consider the factors of 3. We have 1 and 3. Let's consider the factors of 12. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. So the highest common factor is 3. So we divide numerator and denominator by 3 to get 1/4. Now, it's rather cumbersome to list all the factors of 300 and 660, but they are both even, so we can divide by 2 to get 150/330. They're still even, so that gives 75/165. Then we can divide by 5 to give 15. And let's imagine we didn't know how to work these out. We can do short division. How many 5s go into 7? 1. There's 2 left over. How many 5s go into 25? 5. How many 5s go into 16? There are 3 with 1 left over. How many 5s go into 15? There are 3. We can then divide by 3 to give 5/11. So the highest common factor then, if we wanted to divide by just one number, of 300 and 660, is going to be the product of our divisions. So we divided by 2, we divided by 2 again, then we divided by 5, and then we divided by 3. So 2 times 2 times 5 times 3. Well, 2 2s are 4, 5 4s are 20, 3 20s are 60. So we've got 300, we divide by 60, divide by 60 to get 5/11. So let's do one more. and I would like you to simplify 275 over 500. So pause the video and have a go at doing this, then I'll go over the solution very shortly. Okay, so hopefully you've done that now. Let's divide by 5. And let's pretend again that you have no idea what 275 divided by 5 is. Well, 5 5s are 25, there's 2 left over. How many 5s in 25? 5. 500 is a nice easy one. Goes in once, 0, 0. Divide by 5, and that gives 11 over 20. Alternatively, we could divide by the highest common factor straight away, which is the product of these two, which is 25. Okay, so we need to add these fractions. Now, there's 2 methods for adding a fraction. We could use cross multiplication, and the second method we could use is the lowest common multiple. Now, with cross multiplication, I'm going to say only use with small numbers. The lowest common multiple is a much easier method when the numbers get large. Okay, so going back to what I said previously, the denominators are the same, so we can just do 4 over 6, and we need to simplify this. Let's consider the factors of 4, 1, 2, and 4. Let's consider the factors of 6. We've got 1, 2, and 3. So the highest common factor is 2, and that gives 2/3. Now, I wouldn't encourage using the cross multiplication method here. I would use the lowest common multiple. So let's look at the multiples of 7. And multiples just mean that we're multiplying our number by an integer. So if we multiply by 1, we get 7, 2, we get 14, 3, we get 21, 4, we get 28, 5, we get 35, 6, we got 42. Let's look at the factors of multiples of 14, 14, 28, and we can see already that the lowest common multiple is 14. So we can multiply numerator and denominator here by 2. Why 2? Because 2 times 7 is 14. Now, just pause the video and write down the solution there, and make sure you can do it for the next question. Okay, it's worth noting that 5 and 14 have no common factors apart from 1, and that will just give us the same fraction. Okay, so now let's do both methods. Let's do cross multiplication because the numbers are nice and small. So we're going to get 3. 2 4s are 8, over 3 4s are 12. 8, 9, 10, 11 over 12. Let's use the lowest common multiple method. The multiples of 4 are 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. The multiples of 3 are 3, 6, 9, 12. I think it's pretty clear that 12 is the lowest common multiple. So we need to multiply this by 3 and this by 4. get, I'm going to do this out here, 3 over 12 plus 8 over 12, 8, 9, 10, 11 over 12. Same answer. Okay, we can do the same here. We can do cross multiplication. We're going to get 5. 3 6s are 18. 5 6s are 30. If we add these two together, 18 plus 5 gives 23 over 30. Okay, 23 is a prime number, so they share no common factors apart from 1. So let's look at the lowest common multiple method. We've got 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, and 42. The 5 times table is 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30. So the lowest common multiple is going to be 30. So we can multiply this by 5 and this by 6 to get 5 over 30 plus 3 6s are 18 over 30 to give 23 over 30. Okay, so I hope that's clear, but I can't emphasize enough. Don't use the cross multiplication method when you have large numbers, because one, you need to simplify the fraction at the end, and it's more likely that you're going to make a numerical mistake. So when we are multiplying, we don't need to consider the same denominator, so we can just multiply straight out. 1 times 6 is 6, 5 times 3 is 15. We can simplify that. We must always consider whether we can simplify our fractions. Let's look at the factors of 6. 1, 2, 3, and 6. Let's look at the factors of 15. 1, 3, 5, and 15. So the highest common factor is going to be 3. Let's divide by 3 to give 2 over 5. Okay, so you have a go at multiplying this for me. Pause the video. There's a 5. Let's do a proper 5. Okay, so hopefully you've done that now. 2 times 5 is 10. 7 6s 42. And let's consider the factors of 10. 1, 2, 5, and 10. Let's consider the factors of 42. We've got 1, 2. Ooh, does 4 go in? No. Does 3 go in? No. 7 6s are 42. 7. Then we've got 21. And the highest common factor is just going to be 2, isn't it? To give 5 over 21. Now let's get rid of these. Okay, so division follows this process. Now we change the operation from division to multiplication, and then we invert the second fraction. And this is what we've done here. And then we just turn it into a multiplication. 1 times 7 and 3 times 2. 1 times 7 is 7. 2 3s is 6. Now that goes in once, and there is 1 left over. Okay, so you have a go at dividing these 3 fractions for me, and that will conclude our video on fractions. Okay, let's divide 2/3 divided by 1/5, 3/4 divided by, let's say 6/8, and let's divide 2/3 divided by 3/2. Off you go. Okay, so we change the operation from divide to multiply. We invert the second fraction. 2 5s are 10. 5 times 1 is 5. 10 divided by 5 is 2. Okay, we change the operation for the fraction. We invert the fraction. And we can simplify this fraction straight away by dividing by 2. Now it often helps to simplify before we multiply. So that gives 3/4 multiplied by 4/2. 4/3 rather. Okay, so this goes, this goes, this goes, and this goes, just to give 1. And if you notice, 3/4 and 8/6, 3/4 and 4/3, if we divide those, we are just going to get 1, because they are the same fraction, they're equivalent fractions. So that is just analogous to multiplying 3/4 times 4/3. That goes, that goes, that goes, that goes, just to give 1. Okay, so 2/3 multiplied, we invert the second fraction to get 4/9, and we can't simplify that fraction. Okay, so that concludes the video on fractions. Keep on practicing, and don't forget, fractions will continue with you as a topic right up until year 12. And before you can do algebraic fractions, you must be able to do numerical fractions. Okay, thank you.